absolute fucking like bloodbath with Xbox. We have a new rapture. Do you remember when I said that if you thought the layoffs were bad now in the gaming industry, they're going to get a lot worse? Do you remember whenever I said that and everybody got mad at me? Well, well. According to Variety, Microsoft is cutting approximately 9,000 jobs today across the entire company, including some in the Xbox gaming division. So you have Phil Spencer announces that Microsoft is laying off 9,000 workers. We will end or decrease work in certain areas or businesses and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers from management to increase agility and effectiveness. So let me go back. I'll read a few more of these comments and look at it. And this is also what Phil Spencer said as well. To position gaming for enduring success and to allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end/decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. What he's saying is that y'all are fucking done. What? We've had enough of this shit. What? We're tired of it. You're out. We ain't gonna pay y'all's ass no more. Get the fuck out of the company. Get out. Get the fuck out. And so this is a huge, huge, huge W for Xbox. And let me explain why. Removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. That means less middle managers, less Karens, less random oversight, less bureaucracy. I'm telling you guys, after Elon buying Twitter, firing 80% of Twitter, and the website not changing, I don't think people put enough respect on how big of an impact that had. I think that totally changed things. That did. Because everybody was like, oh, well, like, he paved the way. He did. He said, guys, what if we actually don't need 17 different HR representatives for each person that is, thinks that they're a furry? What if we actually don't need 7 different middle managers for changing the color of an item in a video game? What if we just don't have that? And so HR, right? Perfect Dark is canceled. I'm going to get to that. But so anyway, this is a massive W. Industries and companies, keep in mind also, it's like that Tony Stark meme. You know, like, we've got billions of dollars and you're telling me Tony Stark was able to build this in a fucking cave? How is it that Xbox has billions of dollars into this, but Sandfall Entertainment was able to build Expedition 33 with 30 people? How the fuck does that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happens. Layers of management that decrease agility and effectiveness. That's how it happens. It's got a bunch of fucking Karens out there doing a U8 Baldy. I know I had something come up, man. And that was really it. Tony and Sandfall Entertainment. I'm telling you guys, right? You realize Tony Stark's a make-believe person, right? I do, but Sandfall Entertainment isn't. And there's 30 people there, and they made a video game that was insanely fucking good. It was, I understand a fictional meme might be upsetting to you, but I guarantee you that person has Funko Pops. Let's not even discuss their opinion. Anyway, so 9,000 people are being fired from Microsoft and Xbox. And I want to say that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to go, we are really successful at the moment, but you're fired. This is only the beginning. We are at the beginning of a complete Karen apocalypse. A complete middle manager, micromanager apocalypse. More and more companies are realizing that these unnecessary layers of bureaucracy and bloat are simply not only ineffective, but actually counterproductive. They're damaging and killing themselves. I love the picture so much. Yep, there it is. And so this is a complete Karen apocalypse, and it's going to happen. And what's this here? 228K fired, 4% of total. That's a lot of people. And yeah, most are mobile game section. That's good. And I don't know about their states, but our state reduced unemployment down to 5 weeks and removed the extension, so they may be struggling soon. Well, I have this solution. I know. I know. We're gonna have to do it again. So, Perfect Dark. This is a game that I don't know why. I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. If you make a female protagonist that looks like this, you're not doing yourself any favors. Now, let's go ahead and compare this to Eve from Stellar Blade, okay? And I wonder which one is hotter. This is nobody wants to see a 38-year-old Karen pulling up to a Starbucks to shoot the barista because they spell their name with a K and not a C, okay? Nobody wants to see this shit. Nobody ever wanted to see it. And you know who else realized that? Xbox did. Xbox has canceled the reboot of Perfect Dark and is shutting down the initiative. Rare's Everwild has also been canceled. Perfect Dark level designer says gamers were a mistake. Attack them as racist pigs for opposing race swaps. Gentlemen, I think you know what it's time for. Welcome home. Oh, shit. We're gonna get him again. Oh, man. It's another one, too. Wow, that's just too bad, huh? And anyway, welcome home. That's right. And the thing is that it just keeps getting better, man. And you're evil? No, I'm just being creative. That's all. And they can replace the deported at the farms. Yep, there we go, guys. Journalists chuds can't win. No, they just can't win. Journalists, no sympathy from the people. Yep, we even race swapped you. Yeah, he got race swapped. Yeah, he got race swapped with a frog, so he should be happy, right? And anyway, so yeah, this game got canceled. A bunch of other games got canceled. Obviously, there was a new MMORPG from ZeniMax Online Studios, the makers of Elder Scrolls Online, has also been canceled. You need to, also, this is another reason, the new MMORPG project from ZeniMax has been canceled as part of the Xbox layoffs. The project, codenamed Blackbird, has been in development since 2018. Well, I guess now it's dead. Now it's dead bird, right? And doing about State of Decay 3? No idea at all. Good, they should stop spending money on stupid shit that people aren't going to buy. Yep, there we go, guys. And Xbox is cleaning house. That's right. How the fuck did they not deliver a game in 7 years? I don't know, but apparently that was... You know who else was wondering that? The guys running Xbox. Yeah, they were like, yeah, so what about this game? Yeah, so I thought this was supposed to be ready, but it's been 7... What the hell? And that's it. Yeah, Jess is saying it's fine. I don't even know who that is. I think I do know who that is, actually. It's an Xbox guy. And so anyway, will this make Halo great again? Let me answer that question for you. Where's the Halo post? You guys have no idea how not back Halo is. You think Halo's back? It is levels of not back that you have never even imagined, okay? Halo, Pride Month wasn't enough. Now we have second Pride Month. July is Disability Pride Month. Strength comes in many forms, and every Spartan brings something unique to the fight. No, they don't. Whether you have a disability or not, there's a place for you on the battlefield. Log into Halo Infinite and claim your free armor coating. So Halo, now is Halo going to be the recipient of some layoffs? This is what I think is going to happen. I think Halo has one more game in them. I think that if this next game doesn't have a Warzone level of success, I think the entire Halo studio, like the entire leadership team, and they're probably going to ship a Theseus Halo, basically, right? Where they keep like maybe 3 people and they replace 1,000. And that's basically what's going to happen. It's already dead? No. It's not dead. They're going to keep making new ones until I think it's done. Well, no, they made a whole new studio for it and everything. So this is their last chance. And so anyway, this is it. And people, you should change your core value. Nope. Oh, man. Oh, it's just not so bad, huh? Welcome home. Exactly. Please explain. You don't even need to. And so, yep, there we go, guys. And Spartan killing babies with disabilities. What are they talking about? Well, that was actual Spartans. The Spartans in here, by the way, they never took any Spartans that had disabilities. Like John, the, Master Chief, was like a fucking, Olympic athlete. He was like 6'6", massively muscular, fucking generational level athlete. Yes, we're discussing John Halo 117 right now. That's right. He was the average Spartan. Yes, that's it. So this is totally not even true, by the way. Complete bullshit from the story. And so anyway, Xbox is, they're laying off all of these people, lay off thousands. I want to say that if you are working in game development and you are on Blue Sky, you're going to be done really soon. It's coming. And you know it's coming. You know it's coming. You might not like it, but that's what's going to happen to you. And the new gig is coming. Exactly. Kotaku got sold off. That was a while ago, I'm pretty sure. The Initiative, ZeniMax closed. Perfect Dark canceled. Turn 10, 50% fired. What is Turn 10? Let me see what Turn 10 is. Gaming studio. What is this? Let's pull it up. I want to find this. American video game developer for Forza Motorsports and Focus, major releases, recent updates. Okay, so they have 100 full-time staff, and the last thing they did is they made a car game 2 years ago. And so it looks like things are not going too well, huh? And so anyway, this is another apocalypse. And so they all saw, yeah, that's it. And who the fuck drives? I guess not. They fired the founders of Subnautica Studio as well. Oh yeah, I have no doubt. And what's this here? Spartans did eugenics. Well, the real ones did and the fake ones did. They both did. Eugenics is it's selective genetics, right? I mean, there's a bit of a difference there, but a lot of people practice selective breeding. And so anyway, I don't want to get too far into that before I get another Nazi thread. I haven't had one in, I think, 2 weeks. And so, let's see if we can make it an entire month before we get another Nazi thread, okay? And so anyway, let's go back. We'll see if a few more of these are over there. We're sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position gaming for enduring success. I recognize these changes come at a time when we have more... I love this. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, our hardware, our game roadmap has never looked stronger. The success we're seeing is currently based on tough decisions we've made previously. Everything is going great. That's why you need to die. Get them out of here! That's right. They're cooked? No, they're not. No, they're right. They're right. No. No, Xbox is growing. I think that Xbox is making all of the right decisions right now. I think they absolutely are. I'm a big Xbox fan. This was a smart pivot? Yeah, I think so too. No feelings, just business. We're gonna send them to Alligator. Well, I mean, some of these people just lost their job, right? I mean, I don't think we need to send them to a fucking concentration camp, do we? I mean, damn, like, really? We don't have to send everybody that we don't like to a concentration camp. It sounds like somebody else, right? Why not? I don't know. I thought we had like a whole thing like that was a bad idea, right? But I don't know. Anyway. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity of those roles are infected. Well, that's right. And so HR is working directly with you guys for severance plans, health coverage. Yeah, you guys are done. Y'all are cooked. And so anyway, that's it. To think they can get rid of 9,000 people and still perform the same functions. Well... I mean, and everybody always likes to criticize and get mad at these studios whenever this happens. But and by the way, you know what else? You know who owns Blizzard? That's right. Microsoft. Microsoft owns Blizzard. And so today is my birthday. I just got laid off. Blue Sky again. I'm sorry, but anybody that's ever on Blue Sky that gets ended up, senior 3D artist, and this guy is gone as well. Welcome home, buddy. Welcome home. That's the way it goes. So Blizzard VP just told them to stay work from home today. Yep. I didn't realize Blizzard had any quality left to assure. Focus on your work as you try to ignore the blurring noises of Peppa Pig and Bluey in the background. Oh, geez. LOL, Blizzard quality assurance. Well, hey, guys. If everybody thinks that Blizzard quality assurance is garbage, then doesn't that really just go to show why these firings are happening? Isn't that just a little bit of a, oh, wow, wait a minute, hold up, wait a sec, ooh, yeah, what's this? And so that's it, wheelchair mounts for the win. That's right, bro, you got Khadgar in a wheelchair, and now they're getting wheeled out of the motherfucking building. And so anyway, you got this going on. Crazy amount of layoffs, man. And Bandai Showcase later on, yeah, of course, bro, like we got it. It's a 22 minutes. We're gonna watch it, but we're gonna finish this first. We are really successful at the moment, but you're fired. What a horrible thing to do during a holiday week. Phil Spencer is such a coward. These people don't know the way it is. They don't know the way it is. They know the way they want it to be, but they don't know the way it is. And so they're back home. That's right. Extra day off. It's Ozempic brain. The third treat is true. We want to grow, just not with you. Sadly, this is typically how it goes. I can't stand corporate talk anymore. Oh, we got another furry over here getting mad. Game Pass is not doing well. It has no growth despite them focusing on it. But of course, they'll always spin it in a positive way. Oh, man. Welcome to corporate America in 2025. It's all moving money around to posture the best results while treating people as expendable assets. Well, let me just go ahead and let's apply a little bit of logic here. If all of these people can be removed and the company still functions the same, that would make them expendable. I mean, by the definition. Like, I'm not talking about, like, listen, it's not how I feel, right? It's not how I feel. It's just the definition. And that's it. Yeah, but it's the definition. It's not my fault, right? I mean, I didn't write the definition. And no, don't criticize Microsoft layoffs. This is the worst internal layoff email I've ever read. Yeah, bro, like, it's bad. Must grow profits, raises sub prices are the most successful we've ever been. Microsoft, yeah, this is it. And so let's look and see how Microsoft is doing. So who know? Oh, all right. So I wonder. I wonder who the fuck knows what they're talking about here. Right? The guys with the green lines or the guys with the red lines? Aren't all people expendable? Well, they are, but there's spectrums, right? Obviously. And games are just a little share of Microsoft. I know that. I know that, but the people making the decisions are the people that are making these, that are causing this line to go up. Yep, line goes up. There it is. I don't know why, but they're complaining about arguably the best Microsoft has put out with Starfield and Avowed. Both of those were shit. I mean, like, Microsoft is moving towards being a publisher rather than a platform. That's clearly what their decision is. And also, it seems like it's working, right? I mean, obviously, it seems like it's working. Obviously, Xbox is not all of Microsoft, but it seems like the people making decisions at Microsoft are not stupid. These guys know what the hell they're talking about. They know what the hell they're doing, and they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. And so anyway, we'll read a few more comments about this and the people talking about it. Where'd it go? And let's see if I can find it here. And I had the post. Yep, there we go. Xbox. Ooh, that's right. Light them bitches up. Oh, not good. Disabled gamers don't want skins in games. They want better tech to be able to game with their friends, but awareness being spread about it shouldn't be an L take. Nah, it's cringe as fuck. It's cringe as fuck making another identity month for another group of people. Nobody asked for this. It's totally pointless. It's virtue signaling. It accomplishes nothing. It doesn't help anyone. The only people that it helps are the, in my opinion, let's be honest, a bunch of the white liberal Karens sitting in the fucking HR or PR department of this company that want to pat themselves on the back for being good people because they care about another oppressed group. That's the reason. That's where it's coming from. And everybody knows it. That's the last thing we need. We got too many of those. Oh my God. Yeah, it's finally time to hop on RuneScape. I know. They canceled Pride 2. It's perfect timing. Maybe I should do it after they canceled, yeah, the Pride event, for sure. And people with disabilities are not proud about them. They want to be ignored so they can fit in. In my opinion, I think people with disabilities should just be made, you know, like, you just want to, like, give them a way to where they can be a normal person, right? I mean, like, I don't think people, like, they don't want to be like, hey, by the way, look at this guy. Look, he's got a wheelchair. Hey, look at that. He can't use his legs. Wow, aren't you guys proud of him? He can't use his leg. Oh, wow, look at this guy. He can't walk. Oh, man, imagine how inconvenient his life's be. No, fuck no, absolutely not. They just want to be able to we want to make robot legs or some sort of neural link connector to where they can move their fucking legs again. That's the solution, not making some fucking imaginary magic fucking Khadgar wheelchair. Who the fuck wanted that? Nobody did. My disabled ass wouldn't wish it on anybody? Yeah. That's it. See the explosion that just happened? Absolutely not. And so, yeah, it's nuts. And Diddy is free, oh Lord. I saw that. I saw that. And I worked in HR. I got a new boss who wanted to gender each and every document. 2 months later, I was out of a job. That's right. But what you can keep in mind, she wanted to she wanted to add genders to different documents. I bet she did. What a fucking retard. And so anyway, there we go, guys. More layoffs as well will be announced today at Microsoft Xbox. US offices will get the news throughout the day, so expect more cuts. Probably at Blizzard too. Man. Microsoft and Xbox buying up so many studios just to cancel games, lay off their employees, and slowly put their entire identities and frankly everything wrong with this industry. Microsoft buying a game like Perfect Dark and killing it, this isn't evil, it's mercy. Okay? Do you really think that, like, does anybody think this game was going to be good? It's going to be garbage. It's going to be dog shit. They bought it and they aborted it. I mean, fuck. I can't think of any better argument for being pro-choice than that. It was a remake? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it got booted. Nobody wanted this shit. That's it. I thought the gameplay trailer looked decent and good. It was all right. But, like, that was about it. Made by them? No, exactly. And, sir, does covering the fat save the meal? Sometimes it does. And that's just what's going to keep happening. And I think that also this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. This is seismic. I can't keep up. The layoffs are huge at Microsoft and Xbox, and I can't keep. It's almost as if I was right that spending up billions to buy up games and try to do a Netflix model for gaming was going to be a disaster. Called it when they acquired Blizzard. Everybody poo-pooed it. Now we're here. I think that these studios are massively overstaffed. And I think that if you raptured most of these studios, which is like 50% of the people are gone, or, you know, Thanos snapped them, I bet probably if it was the least functional 50%, I bet the studio would probably go on doing just fine. Yep. Microsoft is also hiring close to 7,000 H-1B workers. Are Indians based? Hopefully Indians are based. Yeah, there it is. We'll see what happens. Look up H-1Bs that they requested. I guess so. We're going to find out. And what is this? People dunk on stuff like COD, but they forget how big and successful these franchises are. Casual Andes are the biggest spenders. They sure are, man. and let it burn and something new rise from the ashes. That's it. And Indian based as fuck. Yeah, a lot of the Indians that I know are based, so I don't know. But either way, it is a total and absolute fucking bloodbath. And I told everybody at the beginning of the year, I said, if you think that it's bad now, they're only getting started. And they gonna finish it. They're gonna get rid of everybody.
We're nothing. We are nothing to them. We're being fucked. They don't care. They so don't care. We have no... We have no placement on the marketplace, which is the entire point of doing the sale and doing this stupid promotion and fucking killing myself to get this game out in time.
What did they promise you?
We get a spot in front of Xbox like all the other shitty games do. But
How important is placement?
pretty fucking important. And this is it's like going to the store and having to ask to see if they have a game in the back because they don't have it on the shelf. You know how often people do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, go for a wild, wild ride with the Watusi. Big motor to feed.
I'm not going to look at sales. No, I'm not going to look at sales. There's no point. There's no point in looking at sales because there's no way of me gauging how well it's doing within the first couple hours. So there's no point in me even downloading it and checking the leaderboards. It just would freak me out and make me all OCD, and I'd just constantly refresh it. I'll just wait for Microsoft to call.
That's how you do it.
First day is very, very important because it sort of it's like a pace car. So if you sell 20,000-30,000 copies in the first day, well then you can expect it to just sort of staircase down. Now that we're going to start very, very low, it's going to be the same graph, but just at a much smaller scale, and there's just nothing we can do about it because the day's half over. It's we'll get half of what we had, you know. If people don't know how, if we have to get on Twitter and tell people how to find the game to buy it, that's awful. And especially since it's not, just go to Marketplace and we're right there. No, we have to say like a 5-step system of events or a series of commands to actually buy the game. And that's awful. That's dumb. So there's nothing we can do except blame Microsoft and then never ever work with them again. But then it's so dumb. I don't want to do games anymore, I don't think. I want to work on cars. I don't even want to work on cars. I don't want to do anything. Can I be a bum?
It's Friday. It's the first day of PAX. It's 7:20 something in the morning right now. The show opens at 9. Still no signature. It's scary. I really don't like it. Everybody's telling me just do it, and everything's set up, and it's not like I'm just gonna say no and stay in my hotel room. I'm gonna tag along and go to the convention center with everybody, and then I guess we're gonna do the show. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty nervous. Well, it's the first time we show the game since we first showed it.
Pre-success before you ever release is not a guarantee that, you know, that the world will be there for you. And the worry I certainly have for Fez is that by the time that game ever comes out, we'll have moved on to some other thing.
I don't know, I'm hoping that it kind of, it has a phoenix rising moment, kind of. They're like, oh yeah, Fez is back. That people will take us a little bit more seriously and not treat us like some kind of vaporware joke. And kind of, yeah, establish that everything's real.
Doors are opening in like 5 minutes. There's a million people outside. But I did post a trailer about an hour ago, starting to spread already. So yeah, this is real, this is happening now. It's out in the open.
It's really like a nerve-wracking experience to look at somebody play my unfinished game. It's because it's not done. Like, somebody will get stuck somewhere, or there's a part they don't get or they don't like, and so like, this kind of sucks. Like, yeah, but it's not done. Like, I'll fix it later. Yeah, it feels like too personal. It's too close. Like, it's too. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I think that's a bug.
What's that?
That's a bug. I think you're stuck now.
Yeah.
Give me that moment. Yeah. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to keep talking and then something happens.
Gotcha.
If you don't mind starting
No,
over.
no, it's all good. It's all good. Thank you.
First player, game-breaking bug, right away. Right away. Oh, god damn it. Oh, it's completely broken.
Alright.
That's not good. Yeah, I need to restart this thing. Keys. There's a game-breaking bug right away. Right away. You can't play it. Game keeps crashing all the time. It's completely unstable. There are game-breaking bugs like right at the beginning. Damn it! Like even to like start new game, it starts a bugged out game that doesn't work. I need to restart the computer like practically every time somebody's done playing. It's a disaster.
Really?
It's a complete fucking disaster. What happened? Where were you at?
Nothing, just hit start new game.
It just stayed in the sky. One moment. But like every time it crashes, it feels like a personal failure, like a deep personal failure. I need to actually kill the game and restart it. Like I should apologize. Like, oh, I'm so sorry I wasted your time, and you can start again if you want, but yeah. We made too many changes last night, and now we have an unstable build on our hands.
Someone just IM'd me with sales stats, and we are at 9,500. So 500 more sales, and we hit 10, which is considered a success for a first day. And it's 2. So yeah, I mean, there's a chance that we can get between 15 and 20,000 sales today, which will be a huge, huge success. Not record-breaking, but still really amazing. In the past 10 hours, Super Meat Boy has grossed more than I've made in the past 6 years combined. That's a bit interesting. I don't know, it's just surreal. I wish Tommy was here. I wish Tommy was here.
Things are going okay. The game has a lot of game-breaking bugs and crashes so far, and I need to constantly restart the computer, not the computer, but quit the game and start it again. But people are really enjoying it. A lot of people are actually playing for 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, this is a really, really good playtest session so far.
I wanted to create like a nice place, like a pleasant place to be in. I want people to feel a sense of like openness and adventure, but in a really simple, almost childlike way. I really want people to just enter that world and enjoy their time in it. That's what the game is. It's a nice place to spend time in.
I'm trying to recreate that experience of playing games as a kid before the internet existed and hearing these kind of urban legends like, hey, I hear if you go stand in that corner for 5 seconds and you press down and then you jump 2 times, it warps you somewhere.
When I started gaming, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what the game is about.
So nice to see new Fez.
Yeah, this is basically Fez 4 at this point. We've scrapped 3 games, and
Really, for real?
kind of, yeah. But I think we got it.
I love that fucking art.
Thank you. Ken just introduced me to Tycho from Penny Arcade, who was very, very much into the game.
That is sick. Wait, as soon as you see the side of the drum kit, it's like when you see that pixel art, you know what I mean?
You assume it's pixel art. This is a powerful figure in the game industry. He fucking runs this entire gigantic show. I like this part where it just kind of. Now it's pixel art.
Fuck yes.
I was just really happy to meet the dude and that he liked my game and me so much. I just got a ping back from Destructoid who posted about the trailer, and only for the post from Destructoid, that one post, already got 11,000 likes on Facebook and 209 retweets.
Wait, that's in 2 hours.
In 2 hours.
That's amazing. It's gonna be awesome.
But yeah, people enjoy Fez. Almost universally, it seems.
How does that feel?
Feels pretty good.
I never got the offer.
Pretty good feeling about it. What game is this, Brad? Fuck you is what the name of this
Super
game is.
fuck.
This definitely seems like the hardest part
right
right
here.
here.
There you go, yeah.
What are you supposed to do? I think you
Like, seeing people play the game is crazy. the reviews and stuff that we're getting is really neat, but seeing people play and hearing their reactions is just so much more beyond that. Like, it's just so genuine and heartfelt, and you know, you can hear it in their voice that they enjoy it, and that makes me feel so good.
If you had one thing to say to the dude who designed this level right now,
Fuck you.
they probably think of us as an
Oh, why'd you hit the spike?
It would have been really good. You're gonna feel satisfaction or a profound sense of loss when you finally complete this.
Fucking hell, dude. How you feeling? Are you alright? Yeah, man. Tommy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, email from John. Braid sold 10K the first day.
Oh, cool.
We are closing in at 15 very soon.
That's pretty awesome.
Hey, Tommy, remember that game Braid?
Yeah.
I think we might get 20. I think we might. That means that on the first day that we might sell double what one of the most successful indie games of all time has sold. We're really going 1,000 people an hour. It's crazy. You should be very happy about this, Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy.
I am happy. I'm also very tired. Very, very tired.
Oh, man. That's fucking crazy.
15,000 copies done.
John swore up and down. That was the
15,000.
Oh, Tommy, if you want to also get even more happy, just go to YouTube and search Super Meat Boy and look at most recent. People are just there's one guy who just posted. It was his unwrapping. He wanted to have like an unwrapping of the game, so he went out and bought points. It shows him getting the points, redeeming the points, putting it into the game, downloading the game, and then it's just him reacting to playing the game.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, I love this shirt. Oh, so awesome. Yes.
Regardless of how the game did, I would like to always remember that I'm proud of it. And I think it's awesome that I can look at a video of the game and still see magic in it. And even though I spent all that time just looking at it as just a buggy piece of software that I had to fix, you know, I think it's still awesome that when I looked at that giant bomb video and the guy hit the glitch level, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Holy shit. What's going on? I've never seen
What is this? What is going on? Oh my god.
Dude, we got really awesome fan art. This is a really good drawing. That's crazy though. I used to draw shit. I used to draw Mario. I used to draw Mario obsessively. Like, oh my god, it's just so crazy.
This is an extraordinary platformer that makes you work for every inch you gain. It all begins with the controls. It's apparent that the controls are just an extension of your thoughts. This is an amazingly well-designed game because it seamlessly avoids the frustration of dying by shielding you from your own aggravation. You can spend as much time as you want getting lost in this incredible world. But the rush of winning is what defines this excellent game.
Video reviews, man. What are you doing? What are you doing over there? What?
I just, to see somebody like really get it. You look at it and you think it's like effortless, like you just made a game, but you really put everything into it and you really knew what you were doing. It's not easy. Not everybody could do that.
Well, I think that people get it. It's just so crazy.
It's nice to hear people get it and I don't have to tell them.
Yeah, that was an awesome review. What a fucking crazy year. Starting to feel worth it.
A little bit.
Starting to feel worth it.
You want to be liked. You want to be appreciated, and like you want people to approve of your work. It's just that you work on a project for so long like that in semi-secrecy. You can't really show it. You can't get that much or any feedback really. You just want to get any little morsel of appreciation. Well, I do anyway. It's like when people, oh, I don't care what people think about this and that. It's like, I care about what people think. I wish I didn't, but I do. It's kind of silly. Like, I'm a little bit annoyed at how much I care about that stuff. Yeah, I wish I didn't care that much. It is kind of like I need any little bit of feedback and love that I can get.
Last night, Destructor post about it, and they have the little like retweet and like thing. It said we had like 200 something retweet and 11,000 likes on Facebook. I was like, oh my God, 11,000 likes. And that really kind of gave me a huge boost. And then later I went back at the hotel and I checked it again and realized it was a fluke, and we had 0 likes. Why do I care so much about this? How many likes I get on a stupid website? Why do I let these things affect me at all? But they do. Like, I do want to have a fucking million views on my trailer. I want everybody to be talking about the game.
Yeah, it can get to you, because it's like they tell you what you want to hear, basically. That, well, not what you want to hear, but sometimes I think the game sucks, and that I suck, and that it's not gonna work, and then this one guy comes along and is like, yeah, this game is stupid, nothing happens in it, and I'm like, oh fuck, you're right, nothing happens in Fez.
Yeah, I don't feel like as relieved and happy about things as I wished I was gonna. I'm still worried that I might end up making a shitty game that's gonna be remembered as a shitty game that was in development for too long and ended up disappointing everybody.
I have news for you too. Hopefully it'll take a bit of the edge off.
Hit me.
We had a meeting, we sat down, we talked about all the grievances, all the issues. We agreed, we shook on it, we came to an understanding, and he's gonna sign, and it's all gonna be taken care of.
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, Ed. Yeah.
It isn't signed yet, but it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. It's like I breathe easier.
I'm getting a definitive Knit Stories vibe.
Yes.
A little bit of Cave Story.
No.
No Cave Story is what I meant to say. Why does he wear a little Fez hat?
Because that's where he gets his 3D power from. Because the Fez is a cube, and, well, that's it, really. That's my logic for that.
And did I see the entirety of the mechanic? Is it strictly devastation, or do you
basically, you don't get any more powers than that. There's no boss fights or penalties for dying or anything like that.
It's meant to be played slowly and carefully, like enjoy the world. Okay.
Absolutely. It's a stop and smell the flowers kind of game.
When I explained to people what the game was about and how it was very slow and passive and kind of relaxing, a lot of people understood, I think, what I was going for with that. People enjoyed what we showed them, which is just the beginning of the game that we've been polishing like crazy for a really long time. Like, the game is still not done. It's still not a cohesive whole. I still have a lot of work to do, so I can't just take all that to the bank right now and go like, oh yeah, I did a great job. This is fantastic. Like, I need to still kind of be afraid of failure, I think.
The game came out. It was highly praised in the press. We got interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. It got the second highest Metacritic score of all time on Xbox Live, and we sold like 22,000 copies of the game. Yep. I feel like I actually, for the first time in my whole career, I successfully did something that, you know, that a majority of people liked, and it wasn't an alienating experience. Like, I'm notorious for making games that tend to alienate, or not everybody completely understands, and to make something that seems to have complete universal praise. Like, I can't help but think like I finally made something good. Like, I know that there is a kid out there who stayed up all night long for the game to come out and then didn't go to school the next day because he was so into playing it. And that even far exceeds my experiences when I was younger. And to think that I could make something that could have an impact on this kid even creatively, into thinking, hey, I know 2 guys made this. Like, maybe I can make something too. It's just cool. It's really cool. It feels really, really good.
Part of it is about not trying to be professional. Like, a lot of people come into indie games trying to be like a big company. What those game companies do is create highly polished things that serve as large of an audience as possible. The way that you do that is by filing off all the bumps on something. If there's a sharp corner, you make sure that's not going to hurt anybody if they bump into it or whatever. That creation of this highly glossy commercial product is the opposite of making something personal. Things that are personal have flaws, they have vulnerabilities. If you don't see a vulnerability in somebody, you're probably not relating with them on a very personal level. So it's the same with a game design. You know, making it was about, let me take my deepest flaws and vulnerabilities and put them in the game, and let's see what happens.
This is the story of the first ever use of a weapon of mass destruction.
Very recently, the weapon we are about to deliver was successfully tested in the States. We have received orders to drop it on the enemy.
It is the most destructive weapon ever produced.
The target was an empire with its own secret weapon, the suicide bomber.
I trained myself that I could die at any time.
On the 6th of August 1945, a bomb unlike any other fell from the skies above Hiroshima. The bomb was designed by some of the world's finest scientists. Using it was one of the most momentous political decisions ever made.
Soldiers and sailors are the target, not women and children.
This is the story of the aircrew who flew the mission and dropped the bomb.
I'm not thinking about the people that got killed or hurt. I'm thinking about the ones that did not get killed or hurt.
And it's the story of the people of Hiroshima who were the first ever victims of a nuclear attack.
When something as devastating as a nuclear weapon is used, people are powerless, just like ants or insects.
The entire city of Hiroshima was annihilated in just a few seconds. The bomb helped bring the Second World War to an end, and it marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history. July the 14th, 1945. At the top-secret research facility in Los Alamos, New Mexico, a heavily armed convoy was loaded with parts for a new kind of bomb. This was the start of a journey that would end in Hiroshima. This bomb was the product of 3 years' research and had cost $2 billion to develop. But at this stage, the technology was still completely untested. Two days later, there was a chance to find out. In the desert of New Mexico, the scientists and soldiers of the Manhattan Project gathered for the first ever test explosion of an atomic bomb.
100 to 1, we crack the Earth's crust and destroy the whole world. 50 to 1, we ignite the atmosphere and only destroy New Mexico.
Someone should firm me up. He's frightening the MPs.
10 to 1, it fizzles out.
If that weapon fizzles out, each of you can look forward to a lifetime testifying in front of congressional investigation committees.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The explosion vaporized the stainless steel tower holding the bomb. The intense heat melted the desert sand, leaving an area of glass. The force of the explosion was estimated to be the equivalent of 67 million sticks of dynamite. The bomb had originally been intended for use against Nazi Germany, but its backers now had another target in mind.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Well done.
War's over, General.
Yep, as soon as we dropped a few of these things on Japan. Good work.
For scientific director Robert Oppenheimer, it was a moment of terrible truth.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
By July 1945, the war in Europe was over. Nazi Germany was defeated. But in the Pacific, the war against Japan was raging on. After the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, American forces had fought their way back across the Pacific, island by island, with savage hand-to-hand fighting. But Japan's main armies were still intact and undefeated. The Americans had tried firebombing the Japanese into submission. City after city was reduced to rubble, but still the Japanese refused to surrender. So the Allies now faced the prospect of a full-scale invasion, with some estimates putting their losses as high as 1 million casualties and many more Japanese. In Japan at the time, the emperor was head of state and also a living god. But day-to-day power rested with the Special War Direction Council. Prime Minister Suzuki and Foreign Minister Togo were considering a negotiated settlement. But Army Minister General Korechika Anami was determined to fight on.
我々にはまだソ連の和平仲介という望みがある。現時点での降伏は我々の不利となる。降伏せずに戦争を終結させることが望ましい。
何をおっしゃいます。海軍は敗北を喫したかもしれないが陸軍は違う。いかに戦局を好転させられるかご覧に入れましょう。
Anami's plan was for an all-out final battle.
我が陸軍は決死生還を着せざる300万余の兵を持ち、連合軍の上陸を許さぬ覚悟である。必ずや勝利を導かん。
我が兵の士気の高さは知っとるよ。だが物資の不足はどうにもならん。食料も底をついてるし。
米兵の肝が据わっているとは思わん。戦意を失墜させるのは簡単だ。我々に今求められているのは勇気と決意のみである。
In Hiroshima, as in the rest of Japan, soldiers and civilians were being prepared for the coming invasion. The Japanese military were relying on a powerful weapon: people's willingness to die for the emperor. Ordinary soldiers learned how to strap bombs to their bodies and throw themselves under tanks. Dr. Shintaro Hida was working at the Army Hospital in Hiroshima. One of his duties was to train medical orderlies as suicide bombers.
The soldiers were trained to strap bombs to their bodies and throw themselves against the tanks. At the military hospital, we had to teach this. The officers in particular were resigned to the fact that once we had gone to the front, we would not return. We would die. I trained myself that I could die at any time.
The whole population was to be part of the battle against the invaders. Even schoolgirls were trained to attack American soldiers with sharpened bamboo spears. A bloodbath seemed inevitable. The man who would have to authorize the invasion was American President Harry Truman. On the 16th of July, he had just arrived in Berlin for the Potsdam Conference, where he was meeting his fellow Allied leaders.
Mr. President?
That very night came news of the successful New Mexico bomb test.
Listen to this. Operated on this morning. The results seem satisfactory. The test has already exceeded expectations. They did it. Now the boys may be spared an invasion of the Japanese home islands. I'll drink to that.
But before going ahead with the new bomb, Truman gave the Japanese one last chance to surrender. The Americans had broken secret Japanese codes and could decipher military and diplomatic cables. So they knew their demands for total unconditional surrender had been seen as a threat to the Emperor. Now they decided to alter the terms and give the Japanese a way out. On Truman's staff was a young naval lieutenant, George Elsey, the last surviving witness to these events.
The Potsdam Declaration called upon unconditional surrender. It was modified in the light of this, what we were learning from the intercepts, to read unconditional surrender of the armed forces of Japan.
We call upon the government of Japan to proclaim now the unconditional surrender of all Japanese armed forces.
That left the door open for a retention of the Emperor.
The modified ultimatum was broadcast to Japan. But ironically, the softening of the surrender term seems to have backfired.
俺は一つ希望が見えてきたね。このような言い回しを聞くと、あちらにも戦争を終結したい理由があるように思えるね。無条件ではなく、条件付き降伏と受け取っても良いだろうからね。現状を鑑みれば、我々が屈服しなくても、敵は遠からず自滅するでしょう。
Prime Minister Suzuki announced that his government would ignore the Potsdam Declaration. He used the word mokusatsu, meaning to kill with silent contempt. From that moment, the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima was inevitable. The bomb left San Francisco on board the USS Indianapolis 2 hours after the successful Trinity test in New Mexico. It traveled across the Pacific on a 10-day voyage to the island of Tinian, just 6 hours flying time from Japan. The island was the biggest airbase in the world, with 4 large runways, and it was home to more than 500 B-29 superfortresses. It was also home to the 509th Composite Group, the men who would drop the atom bomb on Japan. In charge was Commanding Officer Colonel Paul Tibbets, a veteran of the bombing campaign against the Germans.
At 29 years of age, I was so shot in the ass with confidence there wasn't anything I couldn't do.
The 2 key members of his crew were Bombardier Tom Ferriby and navigator Dutch Van Kirk.
You never heard the word atomic?
nuclear or anything of that type around the group. We always refer to the weapon as the gimmick, the weapon, that sort of thing. And if you did figure it out, you better be smart enough not to talk about it.
All right, gentlemen. The cities have been signed off. Kyoto is out. Stimson likes the temples too much. But we've got Niigata, Kokura, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima. And the only major cities left we haven't roasted.
And the primary?
The primary is Hiroshima. All right. Have you worked out an aiming point?
T-shaped bridge. Here.
It's the most perfect AP I've seen in this whole damn war.
Angle of approach, bomb drop like this.
Prevailing winds from the north. You may want to come in this way, then you'll be flying with the wind and you'll clear the target sooner.
Too risky. We'll fly into the wind. That way we're slower and more accurate.
You may get caught in the blast.
Once I make the dive turn, I'll have a tailwind. We'll be out quicker. Anyway, we'll take that risk. We want to be as accurate as possible, don't we?
Hiroshima was an important military base, the headquarters of the Second General Army, with a key role in the defense against the expected invasion. Akiko Takakura, who was 17 and working as a bank clerk in the city center, remembers the atmosphere at the time.
People called it an army city. Everywhere you looked, you saw the army. And there were always a lot of ships transporting soldiers from the port. All the major cities in Japan had already been the targets of bombing raids, so everybody living in Hiroshima expected that Hiroshima would be targeted soon.
What no one could realize was that the city had been preserved for a reason. The Americans had deliberately avoided firebombing Hiroshima so they could measure the precise effects of the atom bomb. On the evening of the 4th of August, Paul Tibbets called his men together. The bombing mission was set for the following night, when the clouds over Japan were due to clear.
The moment has arrived. This is what we've all been working towards. Very recently, the weapon we are about to deliver was successfully tested in the States. We have received orders to drop it on the enemy. There will be 3 possible targets. In order of priority, they are Hiroshima, Kokura, Nagasaki.
The bomb you are going to drop is something new in the history of warfare. It is the most destructive weapon ever produced. We think it's going to knock out everything within a 3-mile area. Roll film. Kill the lights.
Weapons specialist Deke Parsons had brought film of the New Mexico explosion. But the projector jammed.
The film you are now not about to see was made of the only test we performed. I was in a B-29 looking down on the target in the darkness, and I can say that it is the brightest and the hottest thing on this earth since creation. This is what happened. The flash of the explosion was seen for 10 miles. A soldier 10,000 feet away was knocked off his feet. Another soldier more than 5 miles away was temporarily blinded. Those of us who were there knew it was the beginning of a new age. No one knows exactly what will happen when the bomb is dropped from the air. That has never been done before. But we expect a cloud this shape rise to at least 30,000 feet, maybe 60,000 feet, preceded by a flash of light much brighter than the sun. A combat version of the bomb has now been assembled and ready. All we are waiting for is an end to the rainstorms over Japan so we can see our targets. Colonel Tibbets.
Right, men. I know some of you have seen a lot of action already, and I picked you because you're the best available. But let me tell you all, beside this mission, whatever you've done before in this war is small potatoes. I am personally honored, and I'm sure all of you are, to have been chosen to take part in this raid, which will shorten the war by at least 6 months. You're now the hottest crews in the Air Force. There will be no talking about this to anyone. No talking even among yourselves. No letters, no writing home. No mentioning of the slightest possibility of a mission. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
The next morning, the air crews on Tinian woke to a disturbing sound. Once again, a B-29 had crashed on the runway. The crash alarmed Parsons, the weapons specialist. It was the day of the mission, and they were planning to load the bomb onto the plane fully armed. The bomb's firing mechanism used gunpowder to force 2 separate pieces of uranium together to start a nuclear reaction. Parsons' worry was that if the plane crashed on takeoff, the firing mechanism would be triggered and they would blow up the whole island. So, without authorization, he changed the plan.
I think it's better if I load the powder charges into the gun barrel after we clear the island.
Have you made the assembly with the powder charges before? Do you know how to do it?
Nope. But I got all day and night to learn. We don't take off below 200. There's time.
If Parsons got it wrong, there was a serious risk the whole mission and the bomb would be wasted.
Parsons sat in that airplane for several hours, rehearsing exactly what he was going to have to do. Removal of the breech plug, inserting the powder, hooking up the thing. He made, at this time, this is when he made his detailed check-off list. And he practiced that for half a day, and his hands were beaten up from handling this thing.
For God's sakes, man, why don't you let me lend you a pair of pigskin gloves?
I wouldn't dare. I got a feel to touch. Looks like we'll be bombing the Japs with dirty hands.
Paul Tibbets had reached a decision of his own. As commanding officer, he was also planning to pilot the strike plane. As was traditional, he chose a name for it.
I said, I'd like to name it after my mother. Her name is Enola Gay. And I know that there'll never be another B-29, or I don't think there'll be an airplane flying that will have the name Enola Gay on it. I think the airplane will go down in history, and I want it to be with a good omen.
Tibbets' decision came as a shock to Captain Bob Lewis. He had always flown that plane and assumed he would be the pilot.
Why the hell are they putting that on my airplane? What's going on?
Number one, it's not your airplane. It belongs to the United States Army Air Corps.
Number two, I'm the organization commander. I can do anything I want with anyone.
Any one of those airplanes, including yours.
Hey, shut up. That was the only discussion.
Dismissed!
For most citizens of Hiroshima, the 5th of August was uneventful. As the day closed, people prepared themselves for more air raid sirens and more disturbed sleep. Dr. Hida was still on duty after a busy day. He remembers the 5th quite clearly.
I returned to the hospital at around 8 p.m. An officer on night shift came and told me that 4 guests from Manchuria were in Hiroshima. They were high-ranking army doctors. I was told to look after them. Eventually, I put everybody to bed, and then I laid down beside them. Then, in the middle of the night, an old man from the village came on his bicycle to see me. There weren't any doctors where he lived. They were all at the front. Thinking it couldn't be helped, I went with him in the middle of the night. I was very drunk. There were no cars at that time, and so I sat on the back of the old man's bicycle. That is how I survived.
Okay, there are 3 planes involved in the mission.
That night, in the last minutes before departure, there was a final briefing for all the crews who were heading to Hiroshima.
There are 3 planes involved in the mission.
Number 1, the Enola Gay, carrying the bomb. Number 2, the Great Artiste, carrying the recording equipment. Number 3,
the Necessary Evil. We were the photographic ship.
Do your jobs. Obey orders. Don't cut corners. That is all.
The mission was so secret, Tibbets was given suicide pills in case they fell into Japanese hands.
That evening when we came out of the mess hall, flight surgeon gave me the pills. He told me what they were. I hope you don't need them, but he said if you do, they're cyanide. He said, here, if you need them, 1 for each man of the crew. He said, you never know anything. Within 6 minutes, you're gone. If you never feel anything different, you never know a thing. I told the guys outside the airplane before we climbed up, I'll give any one of you a pill if you want the pill. And nobody said anything but Captain Parsons. He said, I'd like to have one. And I understood his position, because he knew more technical stuff about that bomb than anybody.
Well, we got the Enola Gay. That was our first big surprise, because we had, there were lights all over the place. And everything. I mean, this was unlike any mission we'd ever flown before. You know, it was like a Hollywood premiere.
Photographers and film crews had been ordered to record the historic mission.
We had climbed into the airplanes. I wanted to start the engines. And there were people all around. There were Klieg lights right there, right in front of the number 2 engine. And I couldn't do anything with that thing there, so I opened the window, stuck my head out. I said,
Stand back! Move out of the way!
But I just waved my hand like that, and some guy says, wave at us. So I waved, and that's what you got. It was another day. It was another bombing run. And that was it. It was my responsibility.
Dimples 8-2 to North Tinian Tower. Taxi out and takeoff instructions.
Dimples 8-2 for North Tinian Tower. Takeoff to the west on runway.
The bomb weighed more than 4 tons, making takeoff even more dangerous than usual.
15 seconds to go.
The takeoff I remember. The most dangerous part of flying is in takeoff.
5 seconds. Get ready.
Everyone on board, I'm sure, felt the same way I did, waiting for it to lift off. And it seemed like it took an inordinate amount of time.
I wanted to hold the airplane on the ground to get all the air flying over the tail that I could get. I held it down longer than what Bob's been used to seeing the airplane took off at 140, 45 miles an hour. I held it down to it was over 150 miles an hour, and he reached for the yoke, started to pull it back, said, pull it back.
Pull back now! Get your damn hands off this yoke! I'm flying this airplane!
And he pulled back right quick.
Eventually it lifted off and we didn't crash at the end of the runway, so we were off.
"15 minutes after takeoff, with the plane still at low altitude, Parsons was ready to assemble the bomb.
We're starting!
Dimples 8-2 to North Tinian Tower. Judge going to work. I repeat, judge going to work.
It's about maybe 8 inches wide around the outside to the back end of the weapon, which had those big fins. Very cramped quarters. You had to squat down in order to peer into the back end of this bomb, and that's the position that Parsons took, is to work inside these fins.
They all knew a mistake would jeopardize the entire mission.
Unscrewing breech! Inserting charges, Jack.
Parsons would then take the powder charges, about the size of a loaf of bread, he would put those in there one at a time. Then he'd pick up the breech block, put it in where it was supposed to go, turn it to make the seal.
Inserting breech.
Each one of these maneuvers he would check off on his check-off list to ensure that he had made no mistakes.
And returning home, Jack.
Two hours later, the Enola Gay met up with the scientific and photographic planes. They were now 3 hours from Hiroshima.
Dawn is breaking, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful morning. You know, look, we're at about 9,000 feet at that time, and we all remarked about what a beautiful sunrise it was that particular morning.
Dick Jepson, Parsons' assistant, had one task left to arm the bomb.
Before the plane went to altitude, I had to climb into the bomb bay and remove these 3 green plugs and replace them with 3 arming plugs, which enabled the fusing circuit to fire the weapon, causing it to detonate. And the only time I felt really nervous on this mission was the time when I inserted these red plugs into the bomb. The bomb was now armed and live. After they were in place, I breathed a sigh of relief because nothing had happened at this point in time. Evidently, with the action of replacing these plugs or switching these plugs, I became the last person to put a hand on this bomb. I hadn't realized that at the time.
We're at 30,000 feet.
Ahead of the Enola Gay, another B-29 was already flying over Hiroshima, checking the weather. It triggered an alert.
There was an air raid warning. It was the type that warned that a raid was a possibility.
As the people waited in air raid shelters, the weather plane reported its findings to the Enola Gay by coded message.
Cloud cover less than 3/10 at all altitudes. Advice, bomb primary. It's Hiroshima.
The weather plane now headed away. For a time, it seemed that the threat had passed.
About 30 minutes later, they sounded the all clear. It meant there was not going to be an air raid. So everyone went about their business, going to offices and factories. I think that was the reason why such a large number died and could not be found afterwards.
On the drill ground, thousands of soldiers were doing their early morning exercises. Dr. Hida had spent the night at a farm outside Hiroshima looking after the girl with heat stroke.
It was just after 8 o'clock when I woke up. I was already late. I had to go back to the hospital. I got myself ready, took the child's pulse, and then examined her chest with a stethoscope.
"16-year-old Terako Fuji had enlisted as a tram driver to support the war effort.
The men were sent to the front with the army. Because their numbers gradually declined, they wanted students to drive the trams.
Clark Akiko Takakura and her friend were the first to arrive at the bank in central Hiroshima, just 260 meters from the aiming point, the T-shaped bridge.
At the bank, I stamped the arrival book. You would stamp next to your name when you arrived, so I stamped the book. In those days, female staff were supposed to arrive 30 minutes before the men to do the cleaning. That sort of thing would be unthinkable now.
Kinoko Doi was working as a nurse at the communications hospital, also near the center of the city.
My first job of the day was to sterilize the hospital tools and prepare the patients for surgery. The weather was beautiful. The sky was clear blue, not a cloud in sight.
In another part of the city, 8-year-old Takashi Tanamori was on his way to school.
Every morning, as soon as we get to school, we're going to play the game, hide and seek. Then we started picking who's going to be it. And so we ran to the main gate. And I was becoming it that morning.
Shige Hiratsuka died in 2002, but her extraordinary story is taken from her written account.
It had just gone past 8 in the morning. We had finished breakfast. Our 2 children were playing beside us. My husband was reading the newspaper.
Paul, Tom, Deke, and I are all 3 up there confirming, yes, this was a target. Yes, that was bridge. Yes, that was the aiming point. Might say we're having a convention up the nose of the plane.
Okay, we're about to start the bomb run. Put on your goggles.
And we were on that bomb run for three and a half minutes. Now, Tom and I are talking.
Christ, Dutch! We never sat on a bomb run this long over Germany. They'd have blasted us out the sky. Yeah!
He said, nothing there. No opposition, no nothing. Or anything of that type. Just going to bomb the target.
I saw an aircraft, like a tiny silver drop, entering the sky above Hiroshima. I instantly recognized it as an American plane, as no Japanese aircraft could fly at that altitude at the time. It was just one plane, so I assumed that it was passing by as usual.
And I was counting. 1, 2, 3.
I was wiping the desktop. That was when the bomb was dropped.
It took about 45 seconds from the time the bomb left the airplane until it exploded. And I think there wasn't a man in the airplane that wasn't either timing it with his watch or counting or doing something. I was sure the bomb was a dud. I was sure it wasn't going to work.
After falling for 43 seconds, the time and barometric triggers started the firing mechanism. A uranium bullet fired down a barrel into a uranium target. Together, they started a nuclear chain reaction. Solid matter began to come apart, releasing untold quantities of energy.
There was a white light in the window, a flash, white like magnesium.
The bomb delivered its destruction in stages. The flash came from a giant fireball 300 meters wide.
I was astonished. It was a startling light. Even if you had your back turned to it, you felt the shock go through, right to the center of your brain. At the same time, any area of skin that was exposed became very hot. Heat. Such burning heat.
Temperatures directly below the fireball were 4,000 degrees Celsius. The heat rays left shadows. Ladders, railings, even people left their outlines on stone and metal. Anyone in the open air was either vaporized or turned to carbon in an instant. At the same time, the flash sent out powerful infrared radiation and gamma rays. These could penetrate walls and attack the cells in human bodies.
Then I slowly opened my eyes, and for the first time looked in the direction of the light. Just at that moment, a mushroom cloud appeared. People who saw this in Hiroshima are nearly all dead by now. There is barely anyone left now who can say they actually saw it happen.
A fraction of a second later came a powerful shockwave which moved at the speed of sound. It turned everyday windows and walls into shrapnel.
As soon as the blast hit, I was thrown across the room. My body was flung from wall to wall and from the ceiling to the floor. My body was thrown around like it was a ball.
A jet-black belt of cloud came towards me. It came from there, over the lip of the mountain. The black cloud spread between the mountains and came rolling in my direction, swirling like this. Just like that, my body was scooped up. It was the blast. It sent me flying through the house.
The flash was very brilliant, and it only lasted a very short period of time. It was over in a few short seconds.
We didn't see any bodies down there or anything of that type. You didn't see any buildings collapse. You can't really distinguish things like that. And even if we had been able to, we couldn't do it anyhow because there was just it was all covered with smoke and dust and everything.
I'm not emotional. I didn't have a first goddamn thought, or I'd have told you what it was. I did the job, and I was so relieved that it was successful, you can't understand it.
Seeing the fires on the ground and the cloud coming up, then you get pretty distressed that there's such havoc down there and people are suffering.
There are no exact figures for the number who died in the instant of the explosion, but tens of thousands of people in the open near the fireball vanished in a fraction of a second. For the survivors, the ordeal was just beginning. Thousands of people were injured and terribly burned. Many were trapped in the rubble. Just 260 meters from the bomb, the two girls in the bank had been sheltered from the worst of the explosion by the earthquake-proof building. When the girls struggled outside, they found a vision of hell. The morning sunshine was gone. The whole city was dark and shrouded with smoke. The streets were full of corpses.
The words City of Death came to mind. There were only dead people. We were the only living souls. It had been the morning commuting hour, 8:15 in the morning. People that had been walking the streets were doubled up dead over each other for as far as we could see. They had died immediately, naked, burnt. I just asked myself, why? And could not find any words. The two of us just crouched down and burst into tears. How could such terrible things happen?
At the communications hospital, 1 mile from the explosion's hypocenter, Nurse Kinoko was blown away from the window. Like so many others, she was badly lacerated by flying glass.
I had pieces of glass sticking up from my body all over, from my head, my face, my body.
In another part of the city, Shige Hiratsuka's peaceful family breakfast had given way to chaos and confusion.
When we got out, we saw that the whole of Hiroshima had been turned upside down. None of the buildings were left. Fires were breaking out in different places all over the city. Then I looked around for the children. There was my daughter, Kazuko. She was 6. She was buried from the chest down and wedged in by timber and plaster. I tried to get her out. I was desperate to. But whatever I tried wouldn't work. The fires were moving closer and closer. The flames were at our feet and roaring up around us. We could not stand the heat and pain any longer.
The school building had also collapsed in the blast. 8-year-old Takashi Tanemori and his friends were trapped in the rubble, crying out for someone to rescue them.
First things I saw was pitch darkness. Then I could sense that several soldiers above my head moving the debris. And finally one soldier dug me out. All I remember is that as the soldier clutched me in his arms, weaving through the fires, between the fires. The only place we are able to escape is the river which runs behind our school.
Near the station, about 2 miles from the flash, Teruko Fuji thought her tram had short-circuited on the overhead cables and that the whole thing was her fault.
I thought I'd caused some kind of disaster. I thought I'd broken the tram and done something terrible. And then I thought, is it a bomb? That was when I realized that it wasn't me who'd caused all this trouble. First I thought only the station area was affected. But then I saw people walking towards me with injuries and skin hanging from them. Everybody thought, perhaps if I go over there I could be saved. People to the west thought the east might be better. People were going in every direction, in total silence.
Amid all the destruction, there was at least one miracle. 8-year-old Takashi Tanamori was carried through the burning city by the soldier who rescued him. At last, the soldier reached a river, and from the crowds, the little boy heard a familiar voice.
Somehow my father spotted me. I guess he called in my name, and maybe I responded, and I said, "That's my daddy." And then he stood straight toward the soldiers, and he bowed many, many times to the soldiers and said, "Thank you, you are savior."
Later on, after we were flying back, conversation started about, the war being over as a result of this bomb.
Despite the number of people we killed, we saved multiple numbers over that for being in a war and being killed on the American side, on the Japanese side.
That time, there was such a hatred for the Japanese that the more we killed, the better off we thought we were, because that means there was going to be less that we were going to have to contend with during the invasion.
After a 6-hour return flight, the Enola Gay reached Tinian Island.
There were probably 300, 400, 500 people there. And when we got out of the airplane, why, of course, we were all getting out. We're tired and everything of that type. And I get out. I remember getting out, carrying my oxygen mask. I'm right behind Paul. And then some joker calls us to attention.
I got out of the airplane like I was told. He hit this thing on my shirt. Guys are taking pictures of it. I salute him. And after that was over with, I'm back to my duty. We got to go to debriefing by the intelligence people. They had certain things, Dak, did you see this, did you see that, and so forth, confirming that we had bombed the right target. I said, sure.
Dr. Hida escaped from the rubble of the farmhouse 4 miles outside Hiroshima. After checking on the child he had been treating, he headed back towards the city.
It's about 6 kilometers to Hiroshima from there. When I was halfway there, suddenly a strange creature appeared out of nowhere. As it was summer, if it were human, it would have been wearing white. What I saw was all black from top to bottom, pitch black. I thought it was strange. At the top there was something round like a head. It had shoulders. Something like a body followed. But it was like it had no face. It was black. The area around the eyes had swollen up. It had no nose. The lower half of the face was just mouth. It was frightening. As a doctor, the first thing you do is take a pulse. But when I took his hand, there was no skin. There was nowhere I could hold. So I stood up, saying, "Please, pull yourself together," and walked around him. This person gave a small shudder, and then he stopped moving. He had died. He had fled 3 kilometers and then died there. That man was the first fatality caused by the bomb that I saw.
Army recruit Shigeru Terasawa had been stationed 7 miles from the center of the blast. His unit was sent to help survivors, but they soon faced a terrible conflict between their compassion and their training.
Even now, there are things that I will never forget. One is the sound of people begging me for water. In those days, we had been told not to give water to the badly burned. To tell you the truth, we all had these big military water flasks on our hips. People were begging for water, but we didn't give them any. We had been told that if we did, they would die straight away. And so I didn't give them any. A lot of people died. Now, looking back, I wish I had given them water.
Burned and bleeding in the intense heat, people were desperate to find any water they could. They fled to the rivers, to pools and reservoirs. Among them nursed Kinuko.
I knew there was a pool of water in the backyard of the hospital. Lots of people had already got into the pool. More people had jumped on top of them. The people underneath drowned. This is one scene I can never forget. I still dream about it.
Then came a strange deliverance. Dark raindrops began to fall from the clouds above the burning city.
We opened our mouths and drank it. Our throats were parched, but it was difficult to capture the rain into our mouths.
The rain was made black by ash and smoke which had been sucked up into the rising mushroom cloud. When these ashes mixed with cool, humid air in the upper atmosphere, they formed thick black raindrops and fell back down onto the city.
The drops of rain were big enough to hurt when they hit your skin. It descended in a torrent. Black fluid flowed where the rain fell. It was raining black fluid.
What the people who drank the rain didn't realize was that it was highly radioactive. In time, it would poison many thousands. On the day the bomb was dropped, President Truman was still traveling home from Europe.
On our way back on the Augusta, returning to Washington, we were on the edge of our chairs because we expected any day, any time, any day, to have a flash from the War Department that the first bomb had been dropped. And on August 6th, as we were about one day out from Norfolk, that flash came.
George Elsie decoded the telegram that brought the news to President Truman on the Augusta.
When something like that came, we would walk it to immediately. We would interrupt whatever he was doing. He happened to be having lunch with the crew at that point. Took it to Truman, who showed it to Secretary Burns and to Admiral Leahy, and then Truman announced to the ship's crew this great accomplishment.
We have dropped a single bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima with the power of 20,000 tons of TNT. The city has been completely destroyed.
It was cheering by the crew, cheering by the officers when he read it in the officers' mess. The Augusta was one of the ships that was destined for the Pacific and would have been involved in the invasion. And the crew knew that. Just about everybody who was in Europe knew that they would be headed for the Pacific and an invasion of Japan. So they were just as overjoyed as the president was that this damn thing is over.
We hope this will be a warning to the Japanese military. Come on, boys. We're going home.
He was eager to get home because he was sure that the Japanese surrender would come very soon.
In case there was any doubt, Truman spelt it out to the Japanese High Command.
It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July the 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth.
Late that afternoon, the mayor of Hiroshima issued his own proclamation. The present catastrophe is the result of a horrible and inhuman air raid. The enemy's intention is clearly to undermine the fighting spirit of the Japanese people. Citizens of Hiroshima, the damage is great, but that is only to be expected during a war. Keep up your spirits. Do not lose heart. The morning after the bomb, a full-scale rescue effort began. Squads of soldiers from surrounding garrisons were drafted in to help. They collected the dead bodies and disposed of them before disease could spread. The wounded were quickly taken away for treatment. Makeshift hospitals were set up, although there were only a handful of medical staff. Dr. Hida found himself treating 3,000 survivors in a village outside Hiroshima.
At first, we had no medicine, no equipment. There was nothing we doctors could do. However, we gathered up some things and started treating the burns.
Nurse Kinuko had an extraordinary escape.
I don't know whether I was unconscious for hours or for days. When I did come round, I thought, so I'm still alive. God must have given me strength.
She woke to find that she had been thrown into a mass grave.
After I crawled out of the hole, I managed to cross the road to get to the entrance of the hospital. It took me a terribly long time, as I could not stand, nor lift my arms or move them to the side. I crawled like an insect and finally reached the hospital entrance. Dr. Hinoki from the pharmacy spotted me and exclaimed, "You're still alive." He picked me up and carried me to the surgery area. The corridor was full of people lying side by side. This was where they operated on me and removed all of the large pieces of glass that were stuck in me.
All over the city, relatives searched the ruins for signs of survivors.
Before midday, my friend's father came to get us. But my friend, who had escaped from the bank with me, turned out to have a broken spine. She died a week later. She was a year younger than me. I am nearly 80 years old now, but she was only 18 at the time. Whenever I think of her, she is still 18 years old. She was a very pretty, gentle person.
Three days after the Hiroshima bomb, despite all the destruction, Japan still hadn't surrendered. A second bomb was made ready, and Truman issued another warning.
The world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. If Japan does not surrender, bombs will have to be dropped on war industries. I urge Japanese civilians to leave industrial cities immediately and save themselves from destruction. I realize the tragic significance of the atomic bomb. Having found the atomic bomb, we have used it. We have used it against those who attack us without warning at Pearl Harbor, against those who have starved and beaten and executed American prisoners of war, against those who have abandoned all pretense of obeying international laws of warfare. We have used it in order to shorten the agony of war, in order to save the lives of thousands and thousands of young Americans.
The second bomb was intended for the city of Kokura, but it was too cloudy, so the plane moved on to Nagasaki. Desperately short of fuel, the crew released the bomb despite more clouds. The bomb missed the aiming point and fell into a valley. This time there was no firestorm, but even so, more than 50,000 people were killed. The Supreme War Direction Council in Tokyo was meeting on the same day. By now, the Russians had declared war on Japan. Then came the news from Nagasaki.
天皇の国宝上の地位を変更しないことのみを条件としたい。
私も同意見である。
すぐにでもアメリカに連絡を取って我々の真意を明らかにしなければならないね。
待て。事態は何も変わっていない。つまり国体の護持に加えて保障占領区域の制限、武装解除と戦犯処置は日本人の手に任せること、この4つの条件なしでは譲れない。
そのような条件を出して決裂したらどうするのか。
最後の一戦を交えるのみ。今なお300万余の将兵が義務の命ずる以上の戦闘を続けている。5000機の特攻隊が敵の九州上陸を阻むべく引きを上げている。
敵の上陸第一陣を打ち倒すため全軍を投入すればその後が続かん。
たった4日で2つの原子爆弾、2つの都市が一瞬にして消えたのだぞ。次は東京かもしれない。それが原爆かどうかは調査の結果を待たねばならん。その爆弾が今ここに落ちたら天皇ご一家も無事ではおられない。町は混乱し予想しえない。幸福より真に戦って散る方を選ぶ。
Then Prime Minister Suzuki did something unheard of. He asked the Emperor to break the deadlock and make a decision. Emperor Hirohito told them he wanted to end the suffering and bear the unbearable. 4 days later, radical soldiers attempted a coup to prevent the surrender. They failed. At dawn, on the day that Emperor Hirohito was to broadcast an announcement to the Japanese people that the war was over, General Anami prepared to end his life in the time-honored tradition of seppuku. His suicide note read, "My death is my apology for my great crime." The war was over. At last, the troops were going home. There was jubilation around the world. But then came something that would forever change perception of the bomb. It started in the hospitals.
A mysterious illness began to spread. I noticed it from about the 4th day. Of course, it had been there all along, but I thought people were dying of severe burns.
The woman who lost her children in the fires, Shige Hiratsuka, and her husband were amongst those affected.
They lined my bed up next to my husband's and took his test first. When they had taken enough blood for the sample, they withdrew the needle. But the blood wouldn't stop. Nothing worked, whatever they did. Even when they applied pressure, it carried on bleeding. During this time, purple spots began breaking out all over my husband's body. He then vomited a large amount of brown liquid. Afterwards, he went limp and died an hour later. He had managed to survive that far, but then even he was taken away from me.
Her husband was one of thousands who would die from this new and untreatable condition.
They were rotting. It was necrosis. There were no white blood cells, so the blood had no power to fight against infection, and so suddenly the rotting set in. In the end, the hair would start to fall out. When you put your hand on the patient's head, tufts of hair would come away in your hand.
It emerged that those who were worst affected had been close to the hypocenter, or had swallowed radioactive material, like the people who drank the black rain.
In hindsight, we realized that it was radiation, but at that time we didn't know what it was.
Radiation sickness has become the single most disturbing legacy of the bomb. American scientists had always known the bomb would produce radiation, but the scale of the after effects came as a shocking surprise. Today, Hiroshima is a thriving city of over 1 million people. Japan, too, has been transformed into a prosperous country that has renounced the use of war entirely. Although no one has used a nuclear weapon since, arguments continue as to the morality of dropping the bomb. Was it really necessary? Could it have been avoided?
The nation had no rice to eat. People had not eaten white rice for a whole year. How could such a country go to battle? The Americans knew that very well and still dropped the atomic bomb. Why? It was an experiment. They knew that the bomb had enormous explosive power. What they did not know was how much damage the radiation would cause. Some scientists thought they knew, but they had not tested it. So they made an experiment to find out by testing it on human beings.
The final decision that resulted in the two bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was not made in Potsdam. It wasn't made by Truman. It was made by the Japanese militarists when they rejected any opportunity to surrender just their armed forces and save further massive loss of life.
Today, there are just a few places that bear the scars of August the 6th, 1945. There are burn marks on trees. The shadow of a vaporized man left on stone. First-hand memories are fading too. Akiko Takakura, the bank clerk, who had been just 260 meters from the hypocenter, is one of the last witnesses to the full horror of the bomb.
There is a department store called Sogo in Hiroshima, where I stop sometimes for tea. From the tea room, I can see the road from the bank to the drill ground where we escaped. I see old people walking happily down the street, young people holding hands and enjoying each other's conversation, children holding their parents' hands and looking happy. And I think about those awful scenes that I experienced many years ago now, and all the people that lost their lives. I think to myself, what was all that? Did it really happen?
Every year on the 6th of August, there are ceremonies to recall what took place on that day, to make sure that these events are never forgotten or repeated. At sunset, tens of thousands of candles are released on the river in Hiroshima. Each candle representing the soul of one of the dead.
Stupid intro, not that kind. Sorry, no stupid intro, not that kind of day. Nintendo has been issued a challenge by Brazil's official consumer protection agency over the company's recently changed user agreement, which now gives Nintendo the right to remotely brick your console if you muck around with it in a way Nintendo doesn't like. The Brazilian watchdog wants Nintendo to remove the relevant clause from their agreement, citing legal reasons like not violating consumers' rights to access services they've paid for, but I just hope they know who they're dealing with here. As far as I know, every Nintendo employee has been to law school. But this whole Nintendo bricking consoles thing took on a new dimension this week when a Redditor going by Bimmy Tongue said they bought an open box Switch 2 from Walmart only to discover it was apparently pre-owned by a hooligan who got the console struck by Nintendo's online services ban, probably because they were trying to use it to hack an orphanage or something. Disturbing. Suddenly it's hitting a lot of people, presumably, or maybe just me, that the secondhand Switch market is about to become a bit of a minefield. I mean, sure, people and retailers can learn to verify that the console isn't banned before buying or selling, but now that's a thing we have to do, because Nintendo decided that there wasn't enough e-waste in the world. Meanwhile, over in Japan, there are numerous reports of Switch 2 consoles overheating, usually while playing Cyberpunk in docked mode, even with the dock fans going full blast. Although there have also been English language Reddit posts about the Switch 2 getting hot while running, so Nintendo fans might just be learning about how consoles get hot sometimes once they can render big boy games. Microsoft has announced another round of layoffs, with around 9,000 employees, or about 4% of the company's entire workforce, getting chopped. A couple hundred of those cut jobs are coming from Xbox, despite gaming chief Phil Spencer saying the Xbox platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. Xbox is the meatiest it's ever been, so it's a perfect time to slice a nice big sirloin off right out of there and gobble it up raw. As part of the layoffs, some Xbox projects are being canceled, including the Perfect Dark reboot, developed by The Initiative, which is also being closed down, the studio, and Everwild, the game announced in 2019 from Rare that looked like it was just about chilling and doing magic with mystical beasts. Well, if they didn't want to get canceled, they should have made the game about lines and making them go up. Lesson learned. OpenAI is still trying to fight a court order in the New York Times lawsuit, forcing them to retain and provide the ChatGPT logs of all users, something the company says they don't want to do because they care so much about user privacy. You guys don't even know how much we care about user privacy. It's a big deal. To be clear, privacy obviously is an issue with the order, but though OpenAI doesn't say it, the logs could also reveal more evidence of copyright infringement or hallucinated nonsense improperly attributed to a source that didn't even say that. But also, the logs could provide ammunition to potential plaintiffs looking to take the advice of the judge who recently ruled that Meta and Anthropic training their AI on copyrighted materials was fair use. But only because the plaintiffs in that case made the wrong arguments. They should have worked at Nintendo first and gone to law school. That was dumb. The judge said other authors or news organizations could make a stronger case against Meta or OpenAI by focusing on how the use of Llama or ChatGPT has affected the market for books or news content. Or, if you don't want to go the legal route, you could use Cloudflare's new pay-per-crawl feature, which will let content creators charge AI companies to set their web crawlers loose on the creator's content. After all, as NYT columnist Kevin Roos said in response to Sam Altman lamenting the violation of user privacy, it must be really hard when someone does something with your data you don't want them to. Which is almost too perfect of a segue to our sponsor, Delete Me, the professional personal data preservers. You know, when it comes to information about your personal life, you want to keep it in the family. And that's why Delete Me now has family plans to stop data brokers from sharing and selling you and your loved one's personal info. Each mama, dada, big bro, and little munchkin gets their own personalized data cleanup, making sure all of your family's private info stays private. And managing it all is easy peasy, giving you peace of mind. Boop the video description and check out Delete Me today. Okay, I had a whole introduction for the quick bits typed out, but my dog just ate it, I swear. AMD has dropped new GPU drivers that boost the RX 9070 XT's gaming performance by up to 27%, according to extensive testing by Hardware Unboxed. The 9070 XT performed slightly worse than the RTX 5070 Ti when it launched, but now performs 3% better on average. Meanwhile, people are just trying to find out if the RTX 5050 is even launched or not. In a blog post published yesterday, NVIDIA said it was coming in the second half of July, but GPU partner Inno3D said their 5050s are on shelf now. And if you're getting deja vu, it's because this is the third 8GB card from NVIDIA this generation without any launch day reviews. I don't know, maybe they're just sparing reviewers from feeling dumb for staying up all night reviewing a card no one's gonna buy. Speaking of no one, Nothing has fully unveiled what it calls its first true flagship phone, the Phone 3, which will actually properly launch in the US for $800 on July 15th with 4 50-megapixel cameras and a fun little glyph display on the back. You know, it's fun because it's like a normal display, but worse. That's rude. It's fun. Like Nothing's first over-ear headphones, the Headphone 1, which has buttons. and will also launch on July 15 for $300. But will you want the nothing somethings or the Honor Magic V5, the thinnest foldable ever with a noticeable crease in the display, and also it's only available in China? Hard choice. Theater chain AMC will now advise you ahead of time that you'll have to sit through about 25 to 30 minutes of ads before your movie starts. I mean, okay, some of those are trailers. That's not fair. The change comes after AMC announced they'll be following their competitors in showing more ads before films start, but at least they're letting you know so you don't pay the same as a month of Netflix to trek to the theater to sit through a TV show episode's worth of slop before you can see your movie. It's nice. And musical artist Lorde with an E, her new album Virgin was released last week with a number of physical variants, including a fully transparent CD, which many fans discovered is not actually playable in many CD players, with the main problem being because of how CDs work. See, the CD is read by a laser, which is light, which goes through transparent things. Anyway, this Redditor got it to work in a CD player with a tray, so I don't know, look for one of those maybe. Lorde posted some fun facts about the album on Twitter, which I'm sure is great, but none of them say anything about whether the clear CD idea was tested beforehand. Like, this seems like designing a cup with a hole in the bottom and then never pouring something in there before you sell it to be. I mean, hey, maybe it's a prank. It's art. Look, don't prank me. Just come back on Friday for more tech news, okay? Let's keep this straightforward. All right? No funny business.
The question, did he do it? I don't think anybody could have predicted this, but somehow the answer seems to be no.
Crossing on the wires right now, Sean Diddy Combs is found not guilty on the racketeering conspiracy charge in this federal case. The verdict on the 4 remaining counts are not read yet.
No fucking way.
Here's another alert. Combs found not guilty in the sex trafficking of his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Here's another one. Combs found, okay, so this is count 2 now. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs found...
Which is like, that's nothing. Oh, driving a hoe around? Fuck, I've done that.
Guilty of sex trafficking, and that applies to the girlfriend who went by the pseudonym as the name Jane.
Okay.
And CB, I'll bring you in. I want to read one more alert here because some of this seems to be a bit of a duplicate as it's coming in. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution with the former girlfriend who I just mentioned as Jane. So those are 5 quick alerts that just came up on the Reuters wire. And we are awaiting more from inside the courtroom as we speak.
Whoever his lawyer is, I feel like that guy can quadruple his rate and still have that shit be on sale. Like, that dude is like, that's some fucking, what's that dude? That guy's name? Oh my God. That's not even Saul Goodman. That's like fucking Ace. This is some Ace Attorney shit.
Does that line up, CB, with what you have down there at court?
Oh, this is nuts.
Bill, so what I'm looking at, count 1 through 5, the only count that I see that Diddy has been found guilty.
Wait. Who is, so Johnny Cochran? No way that's Diddy's lawyer. No way. It's not? It was. I think this is from back in the day. Like, this photo was taken in 1994, okay? He dead? Then it's probably not him. That's probably not him.
Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution as it pertains to Diddy's ex-girlfriend and accuser, Cassie Ventura. The other 4 counts I am seeing Excuse me, let me backpedal a little bit,
okay.
you guys. This is all breaking in. We're dealing with rolling thunder out here. So I'm seeing Diddy has been found guilty on 2 counts. The transportation to engage in prostitution counts.
I don't care about that.
It's the only counts he has been found guilty of are the transportation to engage in prostitution. And I want to say that comes with a possible prison sentence of 10 years in prison, and we're working to learn more. But there is a crowd gathered here outside the courtroom. I'm not sure who is among this crowd, but Bill and Dana, I know you've been watching the trial closely, and you know there are a slew of Diddy supporters out here who have come every single day. It looks like...
I cannot believe that they were actually... I cannot believe he might actually walk. This is insane that all of these guys are right. Holy fuck.
What appears to be one of Diddy's supporters is out here in front of the courthouse explaining to cameras perhaps why he believes his someone he supports was
not
vindicated
guilty
of the most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy. There are hundreds of cameras, and we're waiting to get some more color from inside the courtroom.
You got it.
But we know that jurors came back with this ultimatum today.
CB, I'll let you go for the moment so you can gather some more news down there. I just want to repeat the main headline, and that is this: Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The racketeering is the most serious charge. That was count 1. That would have put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Not guilty on that charge. So to recap, of the 5 counts, 3 not guilty, Dana, and 2 guilty in Manhattan Federal Court.
This is monumental, Elizabeth. We've been covering this case for 2 months, really for more than a year at this point in time. We are seeing about the actual verdict here, and just for the I want to understand, count 1 was the most serious charge, carrying up to a life sentence. He has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy RICO, not guilty. He has also been found not guilty of sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. She testified for days. We're also learning that he's been found guilty of the transportation to engage in prostitution count involving Cassie Ventura. He has been found not guilty of sex trafficking of Jane, who is the girlfriend that he was dating as well, and guilty.
You just can't stand seeing a black man in the White House? I thought we just got done watching that one video about how Trump was the first black president. What do you mean? Yeah, what are you talking about?
Of the transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, Elizabeth,
you dumb?
This is very, very significant. We had an inkling yesterday when there was a hung jury on the initial RICO charge, the most serious, that there might be an actual acquittal there or a hung jury.
Oh my God.
The prosecutors, talk to me more broadly here, because the Prostitution Acts, people thought it was kind of a low-hanging fruit.
Why you always,
that's what they say. He was found guilty of those, but not sex trafficking of Cassie.
This is the best possible outcome for the defense. This is
just say,
what, of course they wanted a full acquittal.
Just say it's a Diddy W. Just say it's a Diddy W. It obviously is. You might not like it, but it is.
The most serious charges he has been acquitted on. The jury did not believe most of their story, or even if they believed most of their story, it did not line up with those charges. So,
and by the way, on that point, let's talk a little bit about that, because there was an inkling for those people who had been in the courtroom, including ourselves, who had been watching the testimony. Remember what they were using as a defense to counter the sex trafficking. It was free will. They were talking about free will, and they were suggesting, while the prosecution said any bait and switch or manipulation to coerce these women by fraud or threat or otherwise to engage in these so-called freak-offs, that force, that cloud of force and threat and violence that had hung over the head of Cassie Ventura was enough to suggest that she never could develop the free will to say no. And when it came to Jane, the idea of manipulating her to travel to places like New York under the pretenses of quality time and shopping, only to then engage in freak-offs, was enough of manipulation. Well, the defense, was very clear. They kept saying free will. These are grown women. It seems that the jurors, maybe looking at text messages or testimony, agreed with that sentiment.
Absolutely, and we were just talking about some of those text messages that came in, and let's dig into them a little bit deeper. As I said, nothing about this is black and white. I have covered many high-profile sex crimes cases with famous defendants, and the concept of consent can be very hard for a jury to understand, especially when you have text messages that say, I want to do this freak off. Now, again, these women on the stand said that they texted those things to simply placate Sean Combs because they were scared of him. Because especially in Cassie Ventura's case, remember, this is a woman.
How can you make a decision based off of that? Some girl says yes, but then later on she says she was scared, so now it was rape. So at what point? Like, that's insane.
Who was physically beaten. Our team got that on
This doesn't work with anything else.
Video, and the jury saw that numerous times.
Crazy. The jury is leaving the courtroom right now. Their job is done.
That's consent,
right now. So the duty done. They have been there for 7 weeks, and they just left the courtroom.
This is, I mean, really, it is a stunning turn of events. It's a
You have to prove coercion by force. Sounds like they failed to.
Turn of events from yesterday when they were deadlocked, but also remember, this is the beginning of day 3. This jury reached a verdict in under 15 hours after hearing 2 months of testimony.
15 hours.
Really a stunning outcome. Again,
Jesus.
I would anticipate that the defense is quite happy right now, but Sean Combs will still be serving prison time.
Yes.
These are still 2 charges that each carry 10 years. Now, Laura, I actually want to hear, as a former federal prosecutor,
whether they, I don't know how long.
You may not want to make this prediction, but how much of that time do you anticipate that he would serve? What do you think that the judge may sentence him at, with each of these charges carrying 10 years each?
Still facing
Great question.
20 years.
First, let me just dab the
Not gonna
sweat
go to
off
jail
my
for
brow,
20
because let me tell you something.
Very
I was
unlikely.
sprinting from the court trying to get here for this moment because I was so eager to understand what the actual verdict would be that I'm literally doing an affair to remember sprint through the streets of Manhattan trying.
When underage people were involved, they can't give consent. There wasn't enough proof for that. That's disappointing. I'm disappointed too. I think that he's a bad actor. I do. But he got off.
To get here, and on the way, people were asking, is there a verdict? Through the streets of Manhattan. That's how people have been viewing this particular case. And here's the thing. After almost 8 weeks, SDNY has a success rate of conviction of over 90%. It's actually over, I think, 95%. So think.
This guy wait.
The resources that are being used in this case, more than what? It was 6 prosecutors, including Maureen Comey, a top prosecutor in the SDNY, who handled Ghislaine Maxwell and other infamous cases as well. For almost 8 weeks, the devotion of resources and time and energy and cost resulting in prostitution-related charges.
And he
now,
got
that
away?
might be a black eye if people are thinking about
Holy
the rate of
shit.
conviction. But they believed in their case.
Oh my
and now they'll
God.
go forward knowing that the jury, who they must respect, has found only this one. But here's the thing. 10 years is possible, but for a first-time offender of any crime like this, it could be as little as 2 years in prison as well. Now, they could run consecutively,
2
meaning
years in
back
jail.
to back. But he knows right now the possibility of life without
I blame the
the rest of
prosecutors
his
for
life
doing a
is
bad
no
job.
longer on the table. Prostitution, though, is, and I have to say, I'm a little surprised in a way. Although this was low-hanging fruit to have the prostitution, because, again, there was almost a guffaw heard around the world when they said, no, I didn't pay these male escorts for sex, I paid them for their time. And the defense said, well, that's what it was, and they weren't always paid if they didn't perform. But they didn't actually call a single male escort who traveled across state lines.
Man.
They called 2 who were in this area. And
So this guy rolled a nat 20, and then the prosecution rolled a 1. And this is crazy.
Also talked about their sexual
God.
performance, but did that surprise you that really this came down to the documents alone?
It came down to the documents, and I think that was obviously incredibly effective for the jury because, again, when they are seeing flight records that show said sex worker went from Atlanta to New York, that's pretty clear cut and dry that you are traveling across state lines. So it did come down to that evidence, to the documents, because you are right, Laura.
They already
not
served
only
8
did
months.
they not
Yeah,
call
maybe.
any male sex workers who traveled across state lines, but also none of these sex workers called themselves prostitutes. So that is you bring up a really good.
Hold up. How if you a sex worker? How are you not a prostitute? What is this? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Point that these male escorts on the stand, they were not saying, yes, now in hindsight, I realize that I was paid as a prostitute. So that wasn't cut and dry, but that documentation, the bank statements, the hotel records, and also the flight records clearly is what compelled the jury to convict him on those 2 charges.
I think we're hearing something right now that they're asking.
All this case proved is that if you're rich, you get away with anything. I bet this will make people start taking justice in their own hands more often. If people start killing other people randomly, the only thing you're going to lose is your own rights. What do you think? All the people in power are just going to say, oh my God, we're so afraid now. We're going to have to do what you want? No, they're just going to add in more Patriot Act, mass surveillance bullshit until you don't even have any privacy. That's not what's going to happen. Like you're so naive to think that, like, you really think that these massively powerful Machiavellian psychopath murderer rapists are just going to say, oh no, they're killing us. Let's just stop what we're doing. And do you think his career is over after this in court? No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think that especially now that he basically got, he got away with it in a lot of cases, right? I'll be right back. I can use the bathroom. So no, I don't think his career is over at all. Diddy drops to his knees and bends over after hearing the verdict. Oh my God. Diddy supporters showering each other with baby oil outside the courthouse. Oh my God. Let me make sure this is this problematic? No, No, we can't see that. Of like, how did this guy get off? I have no idea.
Ladies, you need the booze. You need some water. For watering plants?
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
That's crazy.
By popular demand, I will be showing you where the developers of TES Oblivion Remake absolutely butchered GPU optimization. Not only will I show exact frame outliers, you're also going to learn about specific GPU functionality that exists to maximize performance, excellent data exposing terrible default behavior in UE5 to further validate market complaints against the engine, and I'll share extremely important data that debunks Epic's own educators and their long-standing advice so that you can understand why Nanite is so fundamentally anti-performance. This is the area we'll be analyzing, and I'd like to thank Nick Tech for helping us out with providing a save game based on where he found performance issues. This really helped us get our video out faster, so make sure to go subscribe or support their channel. Next time you find a specific game area with poor performance, make sure to keep a save game and send it to us so we can check it out. As always, we're running the game on a desktop 12GB 3060, and we wanted to analyze the bare minimum settings, and these were the lowest settings that enabled Lumen, which this game was clearly built around. And this time we're leaving the default TAA settings on so that people can get a really good sense of how destructive this AA method is. This entire bar chart displays all GPU elements that took processing time to generate the frame, but I'll go ahead and change the view mode so that empty draws don't waste our view space. The frame starts off with around 55 compute shaders related to Unreal Skin Caching System, which forces the GPU to process in-game animations. In-game animations alone take around 1 millisecond. This next portion of processes a lot of data, but it's all mostly related to GPU instancing, virtual shadow map information, and global distance field systems. This single draw accesses several textures to shade 3 68 by 68 textures that are used as inputs in the next compute shader that write this information into two 5100 by 5100 BC3 textures, which take up around 50 to 40 megabytes of information. These two BC3 textures are only used twice in the pipeline for a single asset in the frame. Even if I brighten the draw, you probably won't even notice the asset until I darken the rest of the image. Only 5,000 pixels were rendered for the object, yet it cost 80 microseconds, or almost 1/10 of a millisecond. To understand how poor this is, optimized deferred draws can achieve a 1 microsecond per 1,000 pixels rendered ratio, as showcased in optimized titles we've analyzed on this channel. Tiny draws that render maybe 1 to 2 pixels, or the initial draw cost can range from 9 to 15 microseconds. If you're new to the channel, we showed how the CryEngine version used for KCD2 consistently had the lowest initial draw cost for deferred objects. After a few render target clears and a few tiny draws, the GPU begins processing the non-nanite prepass. But here's the thing. A prepass is supposed to be fast because it only renders geometric information, but the dense wireframe and almost 600,000 vertex as input and just the outlier suggests quad utilization was hurting the prepass efficiency. The non-outliers have the same inefficiencies, just more spread across the frame. Unlike a regular depth prepass that's purely vertex shader driven, this prepass uses pixel shaders to also write object velocities. This is the default behavior in many if not all Unreal Engine versions, when velocity should only be calculated during the base pass, where all your other pixel shaders execute. Assuming we need motion vectors for all geometry, if we process this compiled example with geometry timings with Unreal's default behavior, nothing seems out of the ordinary. But if we group our pixel shaders together, it only increases the base pass cost by 1.6%. The prepass, on the other hand, becomes fully vertex driven, granting a 28.5% increase in performance. This next portion of draws references a high Z containing the full depth of the last frame, so that current frame nanite clusters can be culled. Nanite transforms regular meshes into clusters. These clusters are then swapped out with smaller clusters when the object becomes smaller on screen, allowing the detailed clusters to stream out of VRAM and vice versa. These clusters are rendered into a visibility buffer for reasons I'll explain in just a few moments. But the main thing you need to know about it is that it's a lot like that velocity prepass in the sense that both calculate mesh data with